Hello, future self. Oh, I'm in the studio. Feels real good to be in the studio. Alright, so I've been editing for like hours and hours at this point, and on 11/12, I made a video where I visited this show called Manual Override, and it was sort of focused around this artist Lynn Hirschman Leeson, and she's like a very, very well known early video artist who did like self documentation. And she made these things called the Electronic Diaries. And I tried to talk to her about this at the opening, but to be fair, openings are not the best place for discussing art, which is why I don't like them so much. But her style is often talked about as sort of the beginning of something we take. Here, let's see it right here. She modeled what we take as commonplace in today's online culture: confessional expression for an unknown audience. Over 20 years, Hirschman Leeson filmed herself as she developed a profound relationship with her own mediation through the camera's gaze. At turns frank and shy, honest and performative, she slowly takes a deep inward turn to examine her foundational memories of violence and psychological harm. And I was watching these, obviously, as a person who engages in something of a video diary, trying to think why I both am and am not sort of in the legacy of Lynn Hirschman Leeson's work. Obviously, let me style myself in her current position. Did I do a good job? Yeah. Obviously, like, I'm making a diary that's in video. I'm doing self-documentation. I am like turning the gaze inward. I have this very extensive relationship with my mediated self. So in many ways, Amnesia Diaries is sort of a direct descendant from the Electronic Diaries. The part where I feel like the content diverges a lot from having watched a lot of the Electronic Diaries that were in the show, and then watching some stuff online and reading more about it, is that in Electronic Diaries, she's also engaging in memory. I need both my hands to talk, so I'm going to put you over here. Gently. Her in-video self is sort of digging up and expelling intense, violent memories. So there's this kind of digging, expelling, sort of getting stuff out. The videos feel very much like unloading. And they're really intense. Like, watching them is super intense, not only because of the content, but also because of the way that she uses her gaze. So I was trying to think about, like, what is my relationship to these pieces? And the part I tried to talk to her about at the opening was what your pieces are very much about memory, but what is your current relationship to the memory of the person who filmed these? Sort of like what she used mediation as a sort of therapeutic tool, but how does her current self relate to that mediated self? And that didn't quite work. Like, she didn't really understand what I was talking about. But I think that's a lot of what is in Amnesia Diaries that's maybe not in Electronic Diaries, which is that the material of this piece, the series, whatever, of pieces, is in the videos, but it's also in current / future self watching the videos and re-experiencing my past self. So that part I think is interesting. Her re-experiencing is happening in the moment of capture, and my re-experiencing is happening in the moment of watching. Whereas her videos are intended, to be watched by an audience, and not primarily intended to be watched by herself, or at least that's how it's positioned in the text and by her as an artist. They become more like standard video art in that way. So yeah, I need to think more about this and read more about it. But future self, Electronic Diaries, and Amnesia Diaries, what are their relationships to you now? Yeah, and what are the tensions that you feel like the videos are making for you? Because these are the tensions that are coming up in the videos for me right now, and I'm interested to see how that changes over time. As a past self, I would like you to know, I'd like you to look for these trends and to see how our relationship to this mediated practice changes over time. So, yeah. I will try and talk to this human again in a setting that is more conducive to talking about art than art galleries.